Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter and Steven. Say what up, Steven.
Hello, everyone.
We're back doing more Commander grades for Final Fantasy. I feel like
And
we are
guess what?
still going. What's up?
This isn't the final one.
Very clever, very unique. But no, we are doing the Monowhite legendary creatures because there are a bunch of them. We are doing one video for every color. But yeah, Steven, I just want to remind everybody at home to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you're staying up to date with all these other videos that we are putting out. We are trying quickly to finish up Final Fantasy because it's a lot.
Yeah, the final episode of this Commander Grades would be a fantasy.
You are on one today.
Oh, yeah.
But Steven, let's go ahead and get straight into this. We're going to go ahead and start with our first card. It's Aerith Gainsborough. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature, human cleric. It's got lifelink and says whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on Aerith Gainsborough. And whenever Aerith Gainsborough dies, you put X +1/+1 counters on each legendary creature you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Aerith Gainsborough. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good card.
I mean, we've
cheap. It does the thing itself.
Yeah, clerics, very easy to gain life with clerics. So
yeah, mono white life gain is definitely a strategy. I'm kind of here for this. I think it's pretty solid. And then actually, it's kind of like mono white life gain, like legendary matters. So that's even better.
yeah, I like how it grows itself too because it's got lifelink on it. And you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if this does end up dying, which would be unfortunate if it does get exiled, but if it does die, all those legendary creatures that you have now are bigger.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Aerith played a lot with like Hope, Esteem. Now obviously that's adding another color to the mix, but I think seeing the power that the life gain had and being able to put all those kind of counters onto a legendary creature, even putting this onto a legendary creature that has lifelink on it as well. So I feel like this deck just does nothing but just produce you to a life total that your opponents just look at you and be like, well, commander damage is going to have to be it today.
Yep, that's absolutely true. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I think we said everything about Aerith. We'll start with you, Steven. What are you giving it?
Yeah, I mean, just, monocolored decks, I feel can do well. I just have an issue with not really having extra colors for certain things. So for that reason, even though I am pretty high on this card, I'm going to give this a C.
All right. Well, I am actually going to join you. It is a monocolored card. I think I am going to give this a C as well. But that puts us, the average grade between the two of us is a C. Moving on, we've got Adelbert Steiner, 1 and a white for a 2/1 legendary creature, human knight. It also has lifelink, and it says it gets +1/+1 for each equipment you control, taking this in a bit of a different direction. This is a pretty good card in an equipment matters deck. However, I'm not sure if this is going to be your Voltron commander.
But I don't really necessarily think it needs to be. Although I do enjoy the fact that this could be Voltron, but I really love like a token strategy, go wide, play a bunch of equipments, and just go off that way because this getting bigger and bigger for each equipment you control, they don't have to be attached to Adelbert. Yeah, they don't have to be attached to Adelbert, which is really cool. I really think that I'm pretty high on this card. I won't lie to you.
I mean, it comes down pretty cheap, right? 2 mana.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can just start casting all of your equipment spells. There are plenty of ways in mono white to go ahead and get those equipment cards. And then I don't know. I think I'm in the opposite boat. I would only play this as a Voltron commander because as soon as you get trample or flying with some other equipment, then commander damage is a real threat with a 2 mana drop.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I agree. I mean, it can be a Voltron commander for sure. I think that that's the cool thing about it is that it doesn't say each equipment you control attached to Adelbert. So I mean, there is the flexibility there. But I think my favorite part is, I love the Final Fantasy set because it came with the job select stuff. And that in itself is just really fun because you get to cast these equipments that are basically just like bodies on a card. And it just, from there, the sky's the limit.
That's true. A lot of the drop selects, though, they do have to contain a color when they are cast, so not everything can fit into this that are drop select. Only the white ones can.
Yeah.
But it's still a cool card.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I am going to give this a C. I think this is also just kind of middle of the road for me.
I'm going to scooch up just a little bit. I actually do really enjoy this. I've played against it on Spell Table quite a bit, and it can be pretty aggressive. So I think I'm going to shoot up to a B on this.
Okay. Well, Steven, you brought up the average grade because the average grade of Adelbert Steiner is going to be a B. Moving on to Ambrosia Whiteheart. It is 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature bird. It's got flash, and it says when Ambrosia Whiteheart enters, you may return another permanent you control to its owner's hand. Also has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, it gets +1/+0 to end a turn.
Yeah, it's very meh.
This is a support piece.
Yeah, agreed. The only thing that I see about this card that is like kind of cool is you do have a flash commander that at any moment, if your opponents are like, I'm going to swing this big thing at you, you can just flash this in, return it to their owner's hand. But then you can't really do it again. I mean, obviously you can play mono white blink, and that's kind of fun. But at what point are you like really progressing your board state, But
I do like the fact that it says you can return another permanent you control. So technically you can bounce your own lands to get that landfall trigger in case you're missing a landfall trigger.
What do you mean missing landfall triggers? You're in mono white. Super easy.
That's what I'm saying. It's very interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's really fun because like the bottom piece of text to me is flavor.
Really?
I don't really think. Yeah, it's cool. Like land, entering, it gets +1/+0 until the turn. But like again, it's mono white. Like there's not a ton of cards that are allowing you to play a bunch of lands per turn. And like, am I really that pumped to have the landfall ability if I put like the poo-poo UFO out and I just tap it to put another land down? Like, then it becomes a 4/2. Like it's not like super important. So that's why I say it's flavor text, the landfall part. The only thing I really care about on this card is when this enters, return another target permanent to its controller's hand. I think that's to its owner's hand. It returned another permanent to its owner's hand. You control. Fuck. This card's awful. I've been misreading this the entire time, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, this is awful.
Well, okay, Steven, let's move on to the grades. I'll kick us off. This card is an F for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give this an F too. I like the idea of being able to bounce your own stuff, but it's not strong enough at all.
No, unfortunately not. Ambrosia Whiteheart gets the average grade of an F. Moving on to Ashe, Princess of Dalmasca. It's 2 and a white for a 3/2 legendary creature human rebel noble. It says whenever Ashe attacks, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Is that a strong enough effect in mono white?
Nope.
I don't know if it is either. We just talked about Voltron with Adelbert. I mean, this technically goes ahead and just finds more equipment if you're trying to run that way, but mono white artifacts isn't necessarily a huge thing. So
yeah, this is a really good support piece in a deck that cares about your artifacts. Other than that, this should not be at the helm of your deck. If you love Ashe, I'm sorry. You can do it. That's fine. I will not myself.
I will not either. I think this one is a quick one for us, Steven. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with you.
Yeah, I mean, mono white has tons of ways to tutor up its own artifacts and do shenanigans. I don't think this being at the helm of a deck is going to make a deck any stronger. So for that, I'm just going to go down to an F.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go up 1. I'm going to give this a D, and I think just because it does something, at least, you can...
Yeah.
Something.
I mean, I'll agree with you. It does something. It's just... For 3 mana, I can look at the top 5 cards in my library, and then I got to invest 5 mana to do the same thing, and then 7. It progressively gets worse. The ceiling is as high as it gets as soon as you cast this card, and the ceiling just gets lower and lower and lower.
Well, Ashe, Princess of Dalmasca, gets the average grade of a D. Next up is Beatrix, Loyal General, 4 and 2 white for a 4/4 legendary creature human soldier. It has vigilance. And this is at the beginning of combat on your turn. You may attach any number of equipment you control to target creature you control. This is too expensive.
Yep. I'm assuming this is a starter deck card.
This is a starter deck card, as you can tell the reminder text for vigilance.
Yeah.
So obviously these cards from the starter deck aren't as powerful. This one clearly as a support piece in a Equipment Matters deck. Even then, I think it's still pretty bad at 6 mana.
Yeah, it's tough because like you can run like Arden and Rograk and just have a little bit better of a time, with Arden being able to be a mono white, and then at the beginning of combat you do the thing that this does and it's way cheaper. So it's a little tough, like when you see a 6 mana cost spell. It's rough.
Yeah, and that's why I think we could just go ahead and move straight into the grades for Beatrix. I think we're both on board. This is an F for me and for you.
Well, I will go ahead and say something about this card before I give my grade. I will just read the flavor text. I commend your courage, but I will show you no mercy and give you an F.
Well, the average grade for Beatrix is going to be an F. Moving on to what some people call the face of Final Fantasy. It is Cloud, Midgar Mercenary. It's 2 white for a 2/1 legendary creature human soldier mercenary that says when it enters, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. And then as long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. This card is a banger for a mono white Voltron deck, let me tell you. This card's nuts.
Yeah, this just screams throw all the swords on me.
It right? Sword of X and X, like any of those swords, you could double those triggers. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I think, when you talk about Voltron, this is it here.
Yeah, this is your Voltron commander. I mean, this is also a fantastic piece if you're trying to run more colors. Throw this in there. Obviously, Cloud is fantastic in the pre-con Cloud one as well. But just as a Voltron commander, perfect curve is play this on turn 2. Go ahead and get the Buster Sword. That's 3 mana. Play it on turn 3, and then you can equip it, and then you're good to go. Cloud.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it honestly, it does the thing so well, and it hits my sweet spot for a 2 mana like commander. I think that's fantastic. But the cool thing is, I don't even know if I'd be that upset if this dies and I have to cast it again for 4, just because this is a tutor. You know what I mean? It's a tutor in your command zone that lets you find something immediately as it comes down.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, here's a fun thing with the second part of text there. It says, as long as a Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud, which means if you have one of those things that say when a creature enters, you can attach one of your equipment to it, stack the triggers that way, and then once this is equipped, that when this Cloud enters, you get to do that twice. So it's pretty nuts.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I think this is good enough to be a very, very viable Voltron mono white commander, so much so that I'm going to give Cloud an A.
It's tough because I was bouncing back between a B and an A just because it's still mono white. And I feel like in order to do the things you want to do, you kind of need some protection and extra color. But I think that this is maybe the exception. So I'm going to jump up to an A as well.
Well, there we go. Look at that. We got an A for a monocolored card. Cloud, Midgar Mercenary. It's the average grade of an A. Moving on to a double-faced card. It's Dion, Bahamut's Dominant. 3 and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature human noble knight. It has Dragonfire Dive, which means during your turn, Dion and other knights you control have flying. And when Dion enters, you create a 2/2 white knight creature token. You can then pay 4 and 2 white, tap it, exile Dion, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery. Once transformed, it turns into Bahamut, Warden of Light. It is a 5/5 flying legendary enchantment creature saga dragon. The first and second lore counter are the same. That says Wings of Light. which means put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Those creatures gain flying until end of turn. And the third and final lore counter is Giga Flare, which means destroy target permanent and then exile Bahamut, then return it to the battlefield back as Dion. It's kind of a cool card.
Yeah, this set was so good for my Sidar deck. That's not even funny.
Knights. Yeah. I kind of am a big fan of this card. It's interesting that, like, I don't know the lore behind this at all. I don't know why Dion turns into Bahamut. There's obviously something there with Final Fantasy that I'm missing. Comment down below, let me know. Because a knight turns into a dragon, and then I don't know why that happens. But either way, it's a strong effect.
I don't know why it happens either, but I love this card. It makes you a body when it comes down. So essentially for 4 mana, you have 5 power, 5 toughness, which is really fun. The exile effect, I think it's okay. I'm not sure how high I am on it. I mean, the +1/+1 counters are really strong. It's 6 mana to flip this, which is just a bit aggressive. But you do get some really good effects on that backside. So it is really nice. But I'm having a tough time because I play this as a support piece, trying to run it as the main commander. I think there's a lot of good mono white knights.
Yeah.
But just having the flexibility of more colors and being able to do the thing with other colors is just so helpful with this kind of strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do like the backside of, which is Bahamut. It is basically Elspeth Stormslayer's second ability, which is put in a counter everything and everything gains flying. Granted, it doesn't give a counter to itself, which is a kind of bummer. I mean, I don't think it matters too much. But this card, the one thing I don't like about these transforming cards is that they are summoning sick, because you take them, exile it, and then return it, which means it's switching zones, which means it doesn't get to swing right away. So that first lore counter is just kind of wasted, unfortunately, as it just sits here summoning sickness, because I would like to swing right away with it. But it's an interesting card. I think I agree with you, though, Steven. I don't know if this is strong as a commander, but it still does something cool.
Yeah, I mean, I do realize that it is very strong in itself. It's just going to kind of struggle, especially like against the deck like Sidar, where you have black and blue, and you just have access to counter spells, more kill spells. Now, obviously, you have the big 2 swords, and then also path. I don't know why I blanked so hard. Let me say that again. You do have access to like the big 2, so you have swords and path to exile. So I mean, I really do love Dion. It's still, I feel like it just needs more colors in order to make it more prevalent.
I mean, the good thing is also, one more thing before we get into the grades, is when you hit that third lore counter on these legendaries, they flip back into it, so it just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And then you get that 2/2 again. So, hey, it's a cool card. If you run this as your commander, I would love to see your list. But Steven, like I said, let's move on to the grades. I still think it's pretty middle of the road for me. I'm going to give it a C.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a C as well. Also, if you've already built Dion, please comment down below with your list. I would love to see it as well. I think it is very interesting. I just need to see something a little bit more like in my face.
Well, Dion Bahamut's dominant gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Grahatia, 4 and a white for a 3/5 legendary creature, Cat Archer. It has reach, and it has the Allegan Eye, which means whenever one or more other creatures and or artifacts you control die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn.
You know, I think for the people at home, nothing would make me happier than to talk to you about why this card is bad. But I don't want to waste any of your time.
I will say this really quickly. It does say artifacts die, which means an artifact goes to the grave. That will trigger this. With that said, there is a very good mono white enchantment called Smothering Tithe, which technically you can burn a treasure and it will trigger this, and it will draw a card on each opponent's turn. So you are drawing at least 4 cards per turn rotation. And with that said, it's still not good enough.
Absolutely not. Because like what you just said means I have to spend 4 mana for Smothering Tithe and then another 5 mana for Grahatia. And I have had to now have spent 9 mana to get good value.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just not drawing enough cards. We always say card draw wins games, which it absolutely does. But in this situation, I think Grahatia is more of a niche support piece rather than a commander itself. So it is
Yeah,
what
it's
it
pretty
is.
rough because at 5 mana, this is already super expensive for this commander. If it did not say once per turn or once each turn, sorry, I think it would be way stronger, and I think I'd be way higher on the grade. But just for the fact that it says once each turn, it just automatically shuts this card down for me.
Yep. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off. I still think card draw does win games, and for that only caveat, I'm giving this a D.
I will also give it a D, just because even though it is once each turn, I think an extra 3 or 4 cards per turn cycle is still pretty decent, but still a D.
Well, Grahatia gets the average grade of a D. Next up is Minwu, White Mage. 3 and 2 white for a 3/3 legendary creature human cleric. It's got vigilance and lifelink, and whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on each cleric you control. Very similar to the first card we talked about, which was Aerith, doing the whole getting counters with life gain thing. This is doing it in more of a wide variety rather than building up Aerith, and then once she dies, you spread it out. I think this card's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, with Aerith, obviously you have to be a little bit more restrictive on your build with having only legendaries. Now, not having any legendaries, but having to swap out that restriction to now just only clerics is still pretty damning, but it's pretty nice. I do like that. I mean, vigilance is always good to see on a card because I can always just swing and not have to worry about anything. But oh, buddy, I just all right. Well, normally, Hunter, I would ask you to pull up this, but I know you're doing some stuff on the back end producer wise. Fancy, you got an upgrade.
Whoa.
So I went ahead and looked it up on Scryfall. There are 355 other Monowhite clerics in Commander. So I think that's enough.
You're saying it's doable?
I think it's doable.
Hey, you know what would be a cool card to throw in here too? Is Roaming Throne, named cleric.
Yeah.
And then things get out of hand.
Yeah. Listen, I think you need to stop talking, and I need to stop talking because I'm getting kind of high on this card.
Yeah, you put the Soul Scissors in here. Those are clerics. Anytime something enters, you gain life. They grow. Everything grows. Yeah, Minwu's pretty
Monowhite
solid.
cleric aggro.
Watch out. It's a real thing. So let's go ahead and move on to the grades, Steve. We'll start with you.
Ooh, all right. Don't hate me too hard in the comments. I'm going to give this a B. I actually think this is pretty strong.
Steven, I'm not hating you at all. I'm giving this a B as well because I think this is strong too. When I saw this card originally, I thought clerics are a real creature type in Magic, and this is very easy to build a board. So Minwu gets the average grade of a B.
Yeah, funny enough, this was my promo card.
Yeah, winning. Next up is Rosa, Resolute White Mage. It's 3 and a white for a 2/3 legendary creature human noble cleric. It's got reach, and it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Notice all of the reminder text again, Steven. This is from the starter deck once again. However, I do think this is good in the last card we just talked about because it's a cleric. It gives lifelink and just continues to just do the things we wanted to do with Minwu. I don't know if this is a good commander.
Yeah, I think I'm throwing this as a support piece for Minwu.
Yeah. I definitely think so.
Yeah, I mean it's meh, right? Like it's not anything too aggressive, it's not too fancy. This is a starter deck card. The starter decks are never anything like you're gonna pick up and be like just smashing people down. 4 mana is a bit expensive, but I do like the fact that every single combat you're putting a +1/+1 counter on something, and it gains lifelink until end of turn. So that's nice. Counter 6 around, lifelink goes away, but you're probably getting that life anyways. And I'm sure there are some fun shenanigans to get involved with, like Walking Ballista and lifelink and all that. So it seems interesting. It seems fun. Just not a card I think I'm high on.
Yeah, it does seem fun. I just don't think you'd run this over any other of the mono white life gain +1/+1 counter commanders that we keep seeing.
Yeah.
But hey, if it's your thing, and if Rosa is your favorite character in all of Final Fantasy, then I can see why you're building this deck. But for me, not interested. So let's go ahead and move on to the grades for us. Steven, what are you giving Rosa?
I'm going to give Rosa a C. I think middle of the road, pretty good, not great.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give Rosa a D. I think just like I said, I don't know why you would run this over anything else. I can see potential, but it's not there for me. And with that said, Rosa gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Snow Villiers. It's 2 and a white for a star 3 legendary creature human rebel monk. It's got vigilance, and it says its power is equal to the number of creatures you control.
Short, simple, to the point.
It is short, simple, to the point, and I don't think I like it. I know
Come
you
on,
can.
you're the token guy.
I know I'm the token guy, and there are plenty of other different kind of creatures that do this exact thing. We have, I can't remember, the Bloomborough rabbit that has star that gets the amount of power and toughness equal to creatures, and I think that's better because that also has trample. It's also a green and white. I know it's
Yeah,
not
and I think
legendary,
that's where I struggle with this card, right? I think that's where my issue is, where this card does the thing well, and you can build it around that. At what point do you not look at other commanders with other colors added to them that care about this too?
Yeah.
And then build around something, especially like going like Naya or anything like that, to where you can have red and green, and you're able to just put trample, haste, and just like it just. I think the mono white really restricts this card and basically throws support piece right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Steven. This is definitely a support piece for me as well. And I'm not here for it. I'm sorry.
I'll be honest with you. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if I want to run this as a support piece.
It's a
It doesn't
weird
do
card.
anything else for your board.
It doesn't. It cares about itself. It's very selfish. So hey, it can be big. I think this was made for those standard decks that run a lot of creatures, but in a game of EDH, I don't think this is a viable commander at all. So let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off, Steven. I think this is an F, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to join you immediately. Don't even really want to add anything on.
Well, Snow Villiers, whatever. It gets the average grade of an F. Next up is Stiltzkin, Moogle Merchant. It's 1 white mana for a 1/2 legendary creature, Moogle. It's lifelink. It's got ability where you can pay 2 and tap it. Target opponent gains control of another target permanent you control. If they do, you draw a card. What exactly are you giving your opponent that make this card worth it?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Hunter. I have seen this card on a couple videos on YouTube, because I do watch a lot of commander videos on YouTube as well. And you can give your opponent some messed up things.
In mono white?
Artifacts.
Like what?
So there's some fun things like Steel Golem. It's a 3 mana artifact. It says you can't play creature spells. So you can go ahead and give that to somebody. You can give another card like Jinxed Idol. That's a 2 mana artifact. During your upkeep, Jinxed Idol deals 2 damage to you. You can sacrifice a creature, and then target opponent gains control of Jinxed Idol. So it kind of adds a little bit of chaos to the field, which is really fun. A really fun like a little, not combo per se, but like 9 lives is a really good one too. You can play it on your side of the board, give you some protection for a little while. If you don't remember what 9 lives is, Hunter, it's pretty fun. If a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. And then when there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game.
It's a fun one.
So I do feel like there's a couple things that you can throw into this deck to go ahead and like make your opponents hate you. But then the issue is your opponents hate you.
Yeah, that's kind of like the thing with the Beamtown bullies, right? You want to do the thing because it's hilarious to do the thing, is giving your opponents just funny things that essentially knock them out of the game. But then you put a massive target on your back immediately when you pull up to a table and say, I'm playing this deck. Everyone knows what it does, and they will target you immediately because they do not want to die.
Which is why I think if I am building Stiltzkin, I am building this as stacks, 1,000%. Because if I'm going to have a target pointed on my back, I'm going to make it so hard for you, like my opponents, to do anything that I'm just going to draw the game out.
Yeah, I think another downside of this card, though, is that you need to give this haste, right? Like, this is an enormous, enormous thing that you need to give this haste. Because
I mean, I agree with you, but I don't.
Hmm.
This comes down. I don't even know if this would come down turn 1.
I don't think it would.
Like, it'd be
You
nice
need
to
to
start
set up your
poking
board.
and yeah, start poking and just start getting the lifelink in early. Uh, but at the same time, like, I understand why you need to give it haste because it's just going to stick around. But I think this is one of those cards where you might get away with it for a few turns, where you just play this, and then you play the thing you want to give away, and then you just hand it off.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a thing you could do. I'm not
Also,
too.
really good group hug commander.
If you're playing it in a way of like giving good stuff away, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. You seem higher than me. What are you giving the Stiltzkin?
I mean, I'm definitely gonna be higher than you. I'm gonna give this a B. It tickles that part of my brain that makes the game like chaotic, fun, and interesting, and brings like really old cards that probably don't ever see play into a viable option and brings them to light. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and you are higher than me. I'm just gonna stick middle of the road for this. This is gonna be a C. I think it's cool. I think I can see how it can be built. For me though, it's just middle. It's gonna eat a lot of removal. But let's go ahead and move on. The average grade for Stiltzkin is, Steven, a B. Next up is Venat, Heart of Hydaelyn. It's 1 and 2 white for a 3/3 legendary creature, Elder Wizard. It says whenever you cast a legendary spell, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. It also has Hero's Sundering, which is you can pay 7, tap it, exile target non-land permanent, transform Venat, activate only as a sorcery. Once it's transformed, it does turn into Hydaelyn, the Mothercrystal. It is a 4/4 legendary creature god. It has Indestructible. It also has Blessing of Light, which says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Until your next turn, it gains Indestructible. If that creature is legendary, draw a card. Card draw wins game, Steven.
Sure.
Sure. That's all you got?
I mean, here's the thing: like, card draw does win games, but at this point, even the other card was better in my mind because at least you can do that over a couple turn cycles and draw at least 3 extra cards. This, you are drawing 1 card and 1 card on your turn, unless you are casting things at flash speed, and then even then, you have to hold up your mana for the legendary creature you want to cast.
It is an expensive flip, right? 7 mana, tap it. You get a 4/4 indestructible that does some things on combat, which in itself gets card draw, which is hard to do in white. So it's very cool to see different ways to get cards in white. However, I just think it's too expensive. Most premier removal is exile effects. I mean, we say that all the time. So indestructible, not necessarily too crazy. It will dodge board wipes and whatnot. But you could run mono white legendary matters, which if you're doing that, then yeah, this is 100% a viable deck.
Yeah, I think another thing that we need to kind of add on to what you said is you are also paying that 7 and exiling a target non-land permanent. So that is kind of fun. But at the same time, like we said, premier removal and white costs 1 mana. So it's just,
Yeah.
do I want to cast this for 3, get my legendary spells down, draw 1 card, and then finally get to 7 mana and then flip this?
I do think
Is it all worth it?
this is a really good support piece for like a Joda deck, where
Yeah.
legendary matters. But I just think it's kind of average, which leads me into the grades, Steven. I'm gonna give Venat a C. I do think it's just kind of middle of the road.
I can't. I don't think I can go that high on mine. I think I'm gonna have to go down to a D.
It's fair. Well, Venat, Heart of Hydaelyn, it gets the average grade of a C. And the final mono white legendary creature is Zack Fair. It is 1 white mana for a 0/1 legendary creature, human soldier. It says Zack Fair enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. It has another ability you could pay 1 to sacrifice Zack Fair. Target creature you control gains indestructible at end of turn. Put Zack Fair's counters on that creature and attach an equipment that was attached to Zack Fair to that creature. This 100% is a fantastic support piece. This is not
That's what I was
commander.
That's what I was gonna add on. I think you misspelled the name or mispronounced the name. I think it's Zack Fair, the best support card.
The best Like I found out because I was like, why is Zack Fair holding the Buster Sword? I actually did research into this card because I had no idea about Zack Fair. Turns out Zack Fair was the original owner of the Buster Sword, and when he died in the game, he gave it to Cloud. He was his best friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What? With that said,
I knew that. I didn't do any research, but I knew that.
Wow, look at you knowing more stuff than me. With that said, Zack Fair is Evoke the Art, our tokens that we always show off. That's his actual name. So shout out to you, Zach, if you're watching. Showed up in cosplay at MagicCon Las Vegas as Zack Fair. Hilarious.
Yeah, he got to. He brought a Buster Sword that was made, and I got to hold it, and it was really sick. I don't know if Hunter will take the time to throw up the photo, but here's me. Maybe.
Yeah, support piece, cool little protection spell. That's all Zack Fair is. I think we could just go ahead and move on to the grades. It's very unfortunate. I will kick us off. Zach is, for a commander, an F.
Yeah, Zach will get an F from me as well, because that is a fair grade.
There you go. Zack Fair is starting with an F for fair. Gets the average grade of an F. And that is going to do it for the Monowhite Legendary Commander grades. Did you guys agree with these grades? Let us know in the comments section down below. Maybe we misjudged a card completely. Tell us about the decks that you built. Send us links to your deck list. Just type them out right there and say, you were wrong about this. Look at this deck list. And I'll look at it and say, you were right. I am wrong. But always interested to hear your guys' opinions. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we are almost at 20,000 subs. Be there for the giveaway. It's coming soon. But yeah, if you wanted to check out other grade videos, check the links in the description. And while you're in the description, you'll find links to all of our social media accounts. Follow us on those as well to keep up to date with everything else that we got going on. And on the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It really does mean the world to us. If you guys wanted to check out what they're seeing, which is not here on YouTube, please click the link in the description below and consider subscribing. And a very special shout out to our Gains Indestructible tier, starting with Aaron Hill,
Aaron Martin,
Brian Ganilla,
Daryl Tripp,
Demarion Turner,
Dr. Rome,
Jimmy Ward,
Jay Pizzle,
Kevo,
Larry Killian,
Samuel Abbott,
Thrifty, PSGR,
and William Colombo. You guys are awesome. Appreciate every single one of you. And until the next video, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Really hope Hunter put that photo of me up